If you like these videos, please check out my full course at www.lsat.totaltestprep.net with tons of clearly explained actual LSAT questions written by someone who's mastered test and helped others master it, and an evaluation period where you only pay if you want to continue. Alright, in this video we're going to cover the main point questions. So what is the main point question? So once again, what do these main point questions ask for? In other words, how are they phrased? What does it test? And how do we approach it? Okay, so looking at the basic information for this, a common way in which this question is phrased would be something along the lines of, which one of the following most accurately summarizes or states or expresses the main point of the passage? So a lot of times you'll find the words, the main point, the main conclusion. Generally speaking, it'll have some sort of variation of main point. Now, these main point questions appear in virtually every passage as the first question after the text. So they're right at the beginning, and they're by definition general. So they're general questions that appear right at the very beginning. In terms of the question type, main point questions test your ability to identify and analyze the overall structure of the argument in the text. So the passage is basically an extended argument, and you're being asked to provide the conclusion for these questions. So this question type is roughly similar to the conclusion questions in the argument section, with the obvious difference being scope. You're dealing with a lot more information, it's a much bigger argument. So the conclusion questions dealt with a single argument and the relationships between the premises leading to the conclusion there. The main point questions deal with all of the arguments and paragraphs in the passage and the relationship of their conclusions and summaries leading to the main point of the overall passage. Okay, so in terms of the basic approach, having a good understanding of the overall argument and being able to evaluate the answer choices is key. So you always want to do these questions last. The reason for that is because by then you'll have a much better idea of the passage. So you'll just have a much clearer idea of what the overall main point would be. So the first step is to have a prepared main point from your analysis of the passage. Now obviously you don't have to write it down anywhere, but you will come up with the main point once you're done reading the entire passage. And these questions are almost always the first question, and if not, then the second. So you'll always have them right afterwards, and you'll always have this you should have a main point that you come up with. But remember, you know that these are first or second. Usually first, you want to do these last, and you want to do them on the basis of that main point you come up with. Next, you want to evaluate the answer choices to see if they capture that correct overall main point that you came up with. So you want to analyze the choices to see if they focus on the correct scope by evaluating the concepts the choices use and whether they're too narrow, whether they introduce new information, or whether they are mismatched, so they don't actually match up with information from the text. So when you're going through the choices, you have to look for those key aspects. You have to look to see that they are talking about the same thing, they're not introducing information, or they're not giving a subtle shift, or talking about something that is slightly different from what you have in the passage. In terms of the right answers and wrong answers, the correct answer choice is going to summarize the information in the passage. So the passages are arguments, they're structured to lead to a particular conclusion, and the correct answer is going to articulate that conclusion. The incorrect answer will not provide an adequate summary of the passage. So it may be too narrow, so the choice may be too narrow and only incorporate information from part of the passage. It may be overreaching in that it'll conclude something that isn't supported by the text, or it may incorrectly represent information from the passage, or it may add new and irrelevant information. So this is similar to just if it's being overreaching. Okay, so in terms of a quick summary, the basic approach is to have a main point prepared, use it to evaluate the answer choices, along with looking for the choice that adequately summarizes the information in the passage. And remember, do these questions last.